And a pleasant good evening to one and all on this Kansas City Chiefs instant reaction show on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel and on WIBW News on Facebook. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis hanging out with you. Let's get close up and personal on this Victory Sunday night. The Kansas City Chiefs win big at Arrowhead Stadium this afternoon over the Baltimore Ravens. 37-20 is the final score as the Chiefs even up their record on the season to 2-2, dropping the Ravens, the injury-riddled Ravens, it must be said, to 1-3. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is here. We're going to break this one down for one and all. Appreciate you joining us on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. If you're just joining us for the first time over the channel, why don't you slam that subscribe button? We appreciate everybody being in on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. So go subscribe to that. You can also follow us on Facebook, WIBW News, and catch these instant reactions live as we do them. Well, Spencer, we'll start here with the necessary caveat that this was a Ravens team that already came in banged up and only got more and more banged up as the game went on, including Lamar Jackson having to leave with a hamstring injury late in the third quarter. It's a Ravens team that needs to figure some things out, and they got to get healthy. Ronnie Stanley banged up. Kyle Van Noy didn't go. Nnamdi Madubuike's status for the rest of the season's in question. They're really banged up on the defensive line. That's a team with a lot of injury problems, and now they're staring down the barrel of a 1-3 start. That's all true. But the big story, as far as I'm concerned, is the Kansas City Chiefs. Spence, have you seen the Star Wars movies?
Yes, a few of them, not all of them, but
the originals. Do you see the originals, the first three back in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
You see those? Okay. So this is where I'm going to betray the fact that I'm not really like a Star Wars geek like that, but I'm familiar enough with the movies. The whole premise of the first one is that, they got the Death Star and Luke Skywalker blows up the Death Star. But Darth Vader and his people, they rebuild the Death Star, right? And I think it's the third movie. I think it's Return of the Jedi. And you can see it's kind of only half finished. It doesn't look like it's all the way done. But then there's a scene where they find out that it's still firing. It is still very much in working condition, even if it is not full. And the line that everybody remembers from the movie is, that thing's operational. And that's how I feel about the Kansas City Chiefs offense. With Xavier Worthy back, with Rashee Rice still to come, with the offensive line still gelling together, that was a half-finished Death Star, and it looked awesome. Holy cow, that was the best Chiefs regular season offensive performance, certainly better than anything they put out there last year. I would venture to say it was better than anything they put out there in 2023. It's the first time Patrick Mahomes has thrown for 4 touchdowns in a game since 2023. That felt like the old-time religion we used to get from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, where it was stop us if you can. We don't think you can. It was a very impressive performance by the first-team offense, and Xavier Worthy, it turns out, makes a world of difference.
Yeah, and this is the first time I think since I've been here and covered the Chiefs where I felt like we got in the fourth quarter and they weren't fighting. The game wasn't in doubt at all. Like, I was kind of finishing up some other stuff before heading upstairs to get ready for this one. As I saw the Justice Hill, I think it was, touchdown run, it didn't really matter. Like, I looked to my girlfriend, I was like, hey, the game's really pretty much over. And she goes, no, it's not. I was like, it doesn't matter. That, like, the Chiefs have won it. Like, when you look back on that touchdown, not very consequential to what the game was. And the game was Xavier Worthy. Let's get it to him early and often, and let's see exactly what we've been missing.
Man, he makes just a world of difference. 83 yards through the air, 38 yards on the ground. The 83 receiving yards, a career high. They hit that ball early in the game over the top, and it just showed you that element that this Chiefs offense has so sorely missed, that ability to get the ball over the top, and it just opens up everything else underneath. It opened up some underneath passes. Travis Kelce look good. Like, that was, not a hugely productive game for Travis Kelce, but 5 catches for 48 yards, and he had space. He had space to operate underneath in a way that he really hasn't had. Hollywood Brown caught a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster caught a touchdown. Both guys were able to get involved underneath the spaces where they work best. They're a little bit more open because you have to respect the deep threat that Xavier Worthy offers. And it did open up some things on the ground. Again, was it a spectacular game for the Chiefs Rushing as a team, they had 118 rushing yards. Xavier Worthy ended up being the team's leading rusher. Kareem Hunt just kind of grinded out some yards in garbage time, so his numbers aren't real special. But Isaiah Pacheco averaged nearly 5 yards a rush on his 7 carries. So
I think that was big. I think to get him going was big today.
It just opens everything up when you have that guy back. And then when the middle of the field is open, the Chiefs' best middle of the field operator is not even back yet, and that's Rashee Rice. And in 3 games, he's going to be back and working the middle of that field. So we've seen now Worthy's return grow this offense. We have seen the introduction of Brashard Smith grow this offense. That is an element the Chiefs have not had out of the backfield, a little bit of explosiveness, some receiving ability. They're working in more and more ways to get Brashard Smith involved, and I think his touches are only going to go up as we go along. He got some carries today, had a nice run wiped out on I think it was a Wanye Morris penalty when it was into garbage time, which was too bad, but he had that catch, a play that he was a check down, and it picked up 17 yards because he had the speed to get around the corner and the ability to make guys miss in the open field, so that was really promising. The offensive line continues to perform better. Guess who had no penalties today? Jawan Taylor! Hey, Jawan, you did it! No penalties for 74 on the Chiefs today. How about that? The left side was clean. Again, we'll note the caveat that this is a much less than full-strength Ravens pass rush, but they did what they're supposed to do against a team that's not full-strength rushing the passer. They kept Patrick Mahomes upright unless Baltimore brought extra pressure. There were a couple of blitzes late in the first half that were effective, but by and large, Mahomes had time to do whatever it was that Mahomes wanted to do. So, offensively, nothing but high marks. That's the best the Chiefs offense has looked, about as good as you can feel about the Chiefs offense in quite some time. We'll talk about the defense. Again, discussion about the defense can functionally come to a close in the portion of the game where Cooper Rush was a quarterback. Like, I don't care how you did against. I don't care how they did against Cooper Rush. They didn't give up anything to Cooper Rush except when the backups came in. They gave up that long run to Justice Hill. I didn't even see it. I was having dinner with my son and my wife. I didn't see that happen. I heard it in the background. Oh, well, hey, look, Chiefs gave him a little walking around money, a little sprinkle to take home with them after they ran their pockets for the better part of 60
inconsequential to the game at all.
No, exactly. Consolation
17-point win.
Total consolation prize. It was a 71-yard run. You take that out, and the Ravens were held underneath 300 yards of offense. The opening drive was really good. The Ravens know how to script an opening drive against the Chiefs. Remember the season opener last year? They ran right down the Chiefs' throats. The opening drive of the game, Derrick Henry had the touchdown, and then they really didn't do a whole lot of anything else the rest of the game other than Jackson pulling some stuff out of his backside with Isaiah Likely involved. Today, Derrick Henry carried 8 times for 42 yards. It's pretty good yards per carry average, but that's not much of an impact for Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson carried 6 times for 48 yards. That's not much of an impact yardage-wise for Lamar Jackson. Again, I know he came out of the game early, but the reason he didn't have much impact was because the Chiefs were able to get off the field. They came up with 3rd down stops. They came up with some big 4th down stops. They took that big lead, and they forced the Ravens into the kind of game that they're not really comfortable playing. They want to play ball control. They want to control the game on the ground, and you can't do that when you're playing chase. And the Chiefs put them in chase mode very early in this game. Blitzing was done to great effect. How about Nick Bolton today? Man, we were talking about Nick Bolton this week like, man, he's one of the worst linebackers in the NFL through 3 weeks, and I'm not sure what his fit is in this game. Steve Spagnuolo said, I'll show you what Nick Bolton's fit is. He's coming right up the gut on some A-gap blitzes, and he's going to scare the life out of Lamar Jackson. And it worked at least twice that I can remember off the top of my head where Nick Bolton's blitzing was effective. We don't think of him as a blitzer, like, at all.
Well, if I'm correct,
really good at blitzing today.
If I'm correct, he blitzed on the Chanel interception, right?
Yes, that was a blitz, and it was Bolton blitzed. I think he was a late blitzer there, and
he forced the throw out early.
Forced the throw out. What a super catch by Chanel! What an athletic play, and that felt like when the game turned. Right.
Oh
there.
yeah.
Obviously,
100%.
the Ravens went down and they scored. They made it look easy, and then the Chiefs drive was promising, but it stalled out and it forced a field goal. Ravens are on the move again. If they go up 14-3, it gets a little tight in the collar at Arrowhead Stadium, but Chanel makes a terrific play as Lamar is forced into an underthrow, and it felt like, even though the Chiefs could only get a field goal out of that and were still trailing after that exchange, it felt like the game turned right then and there.
Yeah, it really did. And I think when you look at this Chiefs defense, obviously today, something we haven't touched on yet was the fact that really their leader, the captain on defense, Chris Jones, he just got there like 15 minutes before kickoff because he had to go to a funeral for his aunt in Mississippi, touchdown at like 2:45, and he was in on the field to start the game. Like he was on the field to start the game on defense. I'm almost certain.
Did they land the plane at Kauffman Stadium? Like, how is that even possible? Where did they land? Did they landed on Raytown Road? Like, how did he manage that? That's
My
incredible.
only thought is that they went to the airport in downtown. Like they had to have flown it. There's no way they flew to MCI.
Yeah, he wasn't flying commercial. No, they didn't fly him commercial there back. That's for sure. But no, he made an impact. He was really good. Jerry Tillery had a sack. I believe George Karlaftis had a sack. The blitzing was effective. And that's what we talked about throughout the week. Is the Chiefs' blueprint was going to be pressure and trust the back end. And by and large, back end played a good game. They played a clean game. No penalties back there. No drive extending penalties for the Chiefs defensive backs. Their coverage was sticky. They forced Lamar to have to hold the ball and have to tuck and scramble. And for the most part, the Chiefs did a really nice job in their passing lanes. They throttled the Ravens offense following that opening drive. Obviously, they score 6 points after that, and 6 meaningful points out. Even 3 of those, I think, was on a Cooper Rush drive, if I remember right. Cooper Rush. They had I think that's right. They kicked a no. It was a sad field goal because they were down 27-10. They kicked a field goal to make it 27-13.
Yeah.
But that was Lamar was on the field. So, but 2 scoring drives, 6 points after the opening drive. Steve Spagnuolo pitched a brilliant one as the defensive coordinator this afternoon. Special teams. Weekly missed kick for Harrison Butker starting to become a thing. I will say this, 56 yards is not a gimme. All the rest of his kicks were in pretty comfortably, but still not used to seeing him miss a kick every single week. Everything else I thought about special teams was markedly improved. I thought kick coverage was really improved. I thought the kick return was very improved. We saw Rashard Smith have a nice return. I think it was Remigio had a nice return. Jalen Royals got one out past the 30 as well. And I would say something nice about the punting game. I guess the nice thing you say is Matt Araiza hardly had to play. Punt one time. You feel pretty good about that.
Hey, if you're going to the fourth quarter and you don't have to punt once, I'd say you're punting because you're being very conservative after you have taken a big lead.
So this is where I'll kind of leave it today with my final thought is that we have seen the Chiefs, certainly in the recent seasons in this dynastic run, use September, October, it's kind of tune-ups, kind of a feeling out process, figure out who you are, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't, figure out what Mahomes likes. And then, when the calendar flips to November and December, that's when you start seeing the Chiefs put the throttle down and getting some results and playing some of their best football. We saw that last season, certainly, where their performances in that Christmas stretch where they beat up Houston were convincing, and they beat up Pittsburgh and were convincing. Those were their best performances when they needed it at the very end of the season to make sure that they were in tune for another run to the AFC Championship and into the Super Bowl. That's kind of been how this team has operated. Today, this season, they don't have the luxury of being able to just sort of feel out these games. They got a bunch of huge ones early in the season. They were already 1-2. This was not a game they could afford to fool around with and just, shove off to the side. This was a situation that felt, for me watching them, this felt like a November, December Chiefs performance where they were just on point, where they were sharp, where they were focused, and where they left no doubt, hey, just remember, this goes through us. The AFC, you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And it ain't easy to beat the man when everything is on point. And today, it is hard to think of any aspect of the game that did not work, that did not function for the Chiefs. It was as impressive a regular season performance, especially an early season regular season performance, as I've seen in quite a long time. And I think a helpful reminder to the Chiefs Kingdom, to NFL fans everywhere, that there's a reason these guys are 3-time defending AFC champs.
Yeah, there really is. And, I think when you look at how Mahomes and the offense went today, it's totally the complete opposite of a stale. They can't even get their scripted plays right. Like, just everything overall seemed to meld together correctly. And obviously, it has probably something to do with Xavier Worthy getting back out there and something to do with the fact that it's the end of September. But the fact that we saw Mahomes put up a 4-touchdown game today, threw the ball around to many receivers. I mean, what? That's 6, 8 guys, 9 guys at catches. I mean, obviously Kelsey isn't being Kelsey that we all think and know, the Hall of Famer Travis Kelsey, but he made 5 catches for 48 yards today, and they were all big catches. And there was one that he didn't even think he was going to catch. Did you see that catch where he came up and he was like, "What? Like, how did I catch that?" Like,
no, it felt like a statement. And certainly the Ravens have some problems that are not Chiefs related, but the Chiefs made sure the Ravens had their hands full today. An impressive performance, a 37-20 win for the Chiefs to say even their record at 2-2 ahead of a Monday nighter against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I believe put the finishing touches on a win over the 49ers. Did not see that game go final.
I think they won.
Yeah, I think they did too. They had forced a bunch of turnovers. They did. They won 26-21 in San Francisco, in Santa Clara. Got to be correct. So Jaguars are coming in off a big win. It'll be Monday Night Football on the road, and that is coming up this next week for the Chiefs as they will try to get over 500 with a road win. We will break it all down on a Victory Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk tomorrow from 3 to 6 Central Time. Myself and you, Spencer, will be.
I will be off tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. You're taking tomorrow off. Well, shoot. Let me back up then. You're off tomorrow. Get one last take out there about this Chiefs game. Just empty the chamber. Go ahead.
So as I started the instant reaction with, like, this was the most Chiefs game from when I pre me coming here that I know the Chiefs for. Like, I feel like ever since I've been here, they have struggled in different ways offensively, whether it be the fact that they just couldn't get the deep ball going, or things were just out of sorts, or the defense was, the year I came in, the defense was the team for them, right? The defense was their best of the 3, not the offense. And I just felt like today, like, everybody, like, Patrick erased some haters out there saying that he is no longer the guy that he was. Like, he's already eclipsed the peak of his career, because he went out there and 12 incompletions, but no interceptions. He didn't have to be the team's leading rusher. He threw the ball in great places, and he threw 4 touchdowns. He's the youngest guy ever now to hit 250 touchdowns in his career. And I just feel like we're like, the Chiefs are back on track. Like, you came in and now they've won 2 straight after losing their first 2. I feel like the sky's the limit for the Chiefs.
Yeah, back on track, I think, is a really good way to put it. This was a very clean performance in all 3 phases for the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll be back tomorrow on 580 Sports Talk, 3 to 6 Central Time, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, and these same video channels. We'll have a Victory Monday edition of the show. We'll recap the Chiefs win. We'll talk to Matt Berteram about the action in the NFL and the Chiefs game. We'll recap a K-State victory, a gut punch of a KU loss, the final end to the Kansas City Royals season. They go out winners, and winners in the entirety of the regular season with an 82-80 final record. All that and a whole lot more on a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We hope you'll join us for that. Until then, for Spencer Dupuis, I am Dan Lucero. Thanks so much for rocking with us on a Sunday night here on a Chiefs Instant Reaction on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel, WIBW News on Facebook. Good night, everybody.